Hi guys, welcome to a comprehensive guide to graphics design. We are going to be working on this amazing flyer, and after we are done creating this flyer, you'll be able to create these other flyers using Photoshop. And I'm EKD, your instructor. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe to this channel because this is coming out as free, okay? You should at least do something back, at least to just mash things up. Like, this is coming out for free, okay? Let me just do this to support. And trust me, is going to share ATech Media up to do more courses like this. So you just click on that subscribe button and like and share to as many persons as possible, because we're about to treat graphic design as it ought to be treated, okay? So right back to the overview, we're going to be having, first of all, learn about the foundation of graphic design. Like I said in the trailer, some persons make a lot of mistakes. Maybe they want to learn graphic design, they just go straight to learning the software, Canva, Photoshop, whatever, okay? And that is a bad approach to learning it, okay? I said that already during the trailer. So right now, we're going to start with the foundation, and you're going to be surprised about a lot of things you do not even know. And trust me, these things would serve as building blocks when you start using the software. So you don't want to even, let me say, forward for a bit, okay? You want to be patient and take this procedure, okay? So after we go through the foundations and the other prerequisites you need to know, we are going to be jumping into the software Photoshop, okay? But if you're already used to this foundation, you already know all these things, then there's need to, okay, you can still say, okay, let me just take you to that point, okay? But I would advise you're going to get some things that you've not had from anywhere before. I really advise you to just stay calm and follow through, okay? So we're going to jump right into the software after we've done all that, and we're going to be learning about Photoshop, learn the interface, learn the tools, different tools, learn how to enhance your photos on Photoshop to make it look good on your graphics. And in all this, we are going to be doing a singular design, okay? So at the end of the day, when you are done with this course, you should be able to work on something by yourself, okay? And probably work on it, maybe do a portfolio or something for yourself, okay? If you are just starting out, okay? So if you want to get to know anything about installing the software and getting the right version, okay, you want to join the community. The link is right below, okay? Join the community, join the WhatsApp channel. Then we are going to be telling you how to go about that, and we're going to be sending the files there, okay? Also, all the file we're going to be using for this project is also going to be given to you right on the community, okay? So you want to take advantage of that, join the community, and even invite others to join, okay? So with all that being said, let's get right into it.
Enjoy all these premium courses in this channel for free.
Hi guys, welcome to graphics design using Photoshop, okay? And there are different things you have to expect while taking this course, different amazing things, okay? One thing is that we're going to be doing this at the end of the day, so it doesn't matter if you are a beginner or you are an intermediate, you just want to start this stuff, and at the end of the day, I promise you, you are not going to regret it, okay? So let's get right in. So graphic design using Photoshop. So before we go into the tool, I would like you to show or I would like you to see some graphical terms, because the graphic thing, it starts from the conceptual aspect, okay? We don't just rush into the software. That is what leads most persons to having breakdowns, okay? And I do not want you to encounter such, okay? So let's go by this process. So what is graphics design really? So what is graphics design? So I'm not going to give you any Google definition or whatever. I'm just going to give you a definition that I arrived at based on my experience and based on my study. So according to the study and experience I have, according to the study and experience I have derived over the years,
I can comfortably say graphic design is the combining of visual elements such as text, images, colors, etc. in order to communicate a thought or idea. Okay, so there is a word that I want to take note of is communicate. So what most persons do not know is that graphic design is a means of communication. It's actually a type of communication under visual communication. So you are not just doing a graphics just because of beauty or anything. You are doing it to communicate something. Okay, if you've ever seen a flyer before, obviously you have. Okay, is to communicate something at the end of the day. So every graphic you do, graphic is not just maybe an art. Okay, sometimes you can see some artwork that do not really communicate anything, but they are just aesthetically pleasing. Okay, but when it comes to graphics design, you're trying to convey an information or a message to a particular audience. So I believe that you get. Okay, so let's move to the next thing. So I'll just give you a brief history of graphics design and why this history is important, because most of us will just say, let's just dive right in. I don't care about all this, but this would help to build your mindset, okay, towards what you're doing, that you're not just doing something that's not going to have meaning at the end of the day. You are doing something to convey information. If you know the way it is used or the way it has been used across generations, okay, I believe you'll be able to have a greater mindset of the entire thing. Okay, so we have like 3 levels. I divide it into like 3 levels. So the first one is the cave age. Okay, so back in 15,000 BC, okay, it was the era where humans used to draw on caves. Okay, they used to draw on rocks. Okay, you know how these caves are, so they used to draw on it. Sometimes they would draw some kind of animalistic images, sometimes some kind of symbols and things like that. So those were the first time people began to illustrate things by drawing. Okay, and from there we move to the print and paper age. Okay, so you might not see this exactly like this in maybe when you do a proper research, maybe on Google and all that, but certainly you're going to find this kind of structure, because none of the structures you find while you're researching are actually the same, but I'm trying to simplify it in a way that you would understand. Okay, so we have the print and paper age, the second age. So that was brought about when a Chinese man introduced what we call the printer. Okay, when the Chinese man invented the printer, and people began to print. Okay, and it evolved from black and white. So they only had black and white print. They were printing text and things on black and white, even some kind of artworks on black and white. But later on it evolved, and they became like the color printers. And when the color printers came, I mean, they were doing all sorts of amazing things, flyers and the rest. Okay, and that was during like the 105 AD, 105 AD. Okay, and the printer was done by a Chinese man. Okay, and from there we moved to the digital era, and this began in the 1980s. Okay, when everybody began to have their personal computers. What I mean by your own computers. Okay, and then different softwares were produced by different companies, and one of the notable ones was Microsoft. All right, and we also had Adobe. Okay, so Adobe, they began to surface the industry, and they were creating software that enable individuals, help them create graphics. Okay, from that time till now, things are still upgrading. Okay, you won't believe amazing things that can be done by all these softwares right now. We are really evolving with the introduction of AI and everything. I believe there are still more in store. Okay, and I think this is a brief history that you would want to know. Okay, you would want to know before you even dive into graphics design. I believe you enjoyed this section. Okay, here we have the next segment, which I'll talk about the elements of design. Okay, so you don't just look at it as a very big word or a fancy word. Some people use it, but they don't really know what exactly it means. So these elements are there are different components that you combine in order to form a graphic. Okay, there are different elements you combine together in order to form a graphics. Remember when we talked about what graphics design is, right? We talked about it being the combination of different visual elements. Okay, so these are the visual elements or design elements, as you call them. Okay, so we combine these together to form a design or a composition. Okay, so there's typically no design you see or graphics or flyer that you won't find not less than 2 of this. Okay, you would always find at most or at least 2 of these elements represented there. Okay, so let's go by the first one. We have line. So a line is any 2 connected points. You get? Lines are useful for dividing space and drawing the eye to a specific location. Okay, so there is no graphical work that you won't find a line. At least you'll find a line. Okay, so I'll move to the next one in no particular order. I'll move to typography. So graphical works, you always or most times you find typography. Okay, types or typography or text, as you may call them, they are used to specifically communicate things. Okay, so they have a lot of precision when it comes to communicating something. Just like we have an advert, register now. Okay, that's like a very precise way of saying register now. You are not putting any shape or anything, you're just saying register now. So I think it's a way of precisely communicating something, so you cannot devalue their importance. Okay, and we have another one. We have space. Some people might just say, what is space? Space is something you can see. Yes, of course, we have space. So there's no graphical work that you'd see that you will not find a space. There's always a space. Okay, like this one you are seeing presently, there are space in between these different elements. There are spaces. So you sometimes you might even say this space is not important. Okay, unless you see something that is just maybe a graphic or something that or a flyer where there is no space, then you know the importance of it, because everything will just be congested. You will not be able to read anything. You will not be able to pick anything from what you've seen. Okay, so space is very important. So making proper use of space can help others view your design as you intended. Okay, so white space or negative space is the space between or around the focal point of an image. So right here we have negative space. So negative space is actually the space that is not in use. Okay, so every design should have a negative space, and the positive space is the space that is in use. Okay, and sometimes negative space are called white spaces. So you might hear me using them interchangeably, so do not be confused. Okay, so they are also important for your design. And that we have color. So I know everybody knows color. Color creates a mood within the piece and tells the story. Every color says something, okay, something different, and combinations can alter that impression further. So color is a design element, very important one at that. Okay, so we also have shape. So most designs you will see some kind of shape, triangular shapes, people trying to use shapes to communicate. You do not even know that shapes can communicate. Shapes rather can communicate a lot of things you must not have thought of. Okay, and as we go on in this course, I'll tell you. Okay, so shapes are defined by boundaries such as lines, color. Everything is ultimately a shape. So various elements of design are always creating shape. So you must surely have shapes. Some types you have circular shapes, so you cannot ignore shapes when it comes to graphics design. And like I said, different shapes can give different impression. Okay, let me just give you one single example. Do you know that circular shapes can give the impression of friendliness? Are you aware of that? Then more rigid shapes, such as squares, can give the impression of something being very official. Okay, or official, as the case may be. So that is a important thing to take note of. So it tells you that shapes are very important. Okay, that's it for elements of design. Okay, so move to the next one, which we have here is principles of design. I'm very sure you enjoyed the previous slide. Okay, but this one has to do with the laws. Okay, the laws that graphics and art, if you want to recreate a great art, a beautiful art, aesthetically pleasing, you would have to work by these rules and regulation. Okay, some people say I want to break the rules. Before you break the rules, you have to know the rules you want to break. So these are important. Okay, so we have contrast. So contrast just it's just about creating that difference. Okay, creating that difference. Like you'd see in my illustration here, you have one white circle, you have another circle which is a bit darker or which does not have a fill. So just creating let me say visual difference amongst objects, that can be said to be contrast. Okay, that can be said to be contrast. So the next one we have is balance. Okay, there are different things you can balance in your design, different things you can balance. For instance, your layout can either be balanced or not balanced. Okay, there are sometimes you can put a lot of objects at one side of design, then leave the other side or the other part of the design almost empty, so that shows your design is not balanced. There are ways you can balance colors. Okay, as we go further, I'm going to reveal those to you. Okay, and there's also repetition. Okay, there's also repetition. This can be repeating of pattern within the same designs. Okay, you can repeat patterns within the same designs. For instance, you can repeat colors, so that's like repetition. You can repeat colors, it's like a rule in design. So we also have hierarchy or hierarchy. Okay, so this just shows the how valuable an object is or an element is in that design. It's just placing a level of importance on a particular object in that your design. Okay, you would agree with me that not all objects are having the same level of importance. Okay, for instance, if you have like 20% sales, shop here 20% sales. So if you have that kind of design, your eyes should be attracted to, or something important should draw your eye first. Okay, and I think the most important thing in that kind of design should be 20%, because that's what is attracting them. Then you can have the other maybe a little smaller. So you can use sizes to create hierarchy. You can use colors to create hierarchy. Sometimes people give something red just to show its level of importance. Okay, so you can study more on that. Okay, but I believe I've done a bit of justice to that. Okay, so we have redeem. So redeem is just putting similar objects in the same place. Okay, putting similar objects in the same place. For instance, we also have the Gilsart principle. Okay, Gilsart principle, which states that objects that are seen together are assumed to be in the same group. Okay, objects that you place together with one another, they are assumed to let me say they are assumed to be in one category. Okay, so I think you can still study on that, but I think that has to do with reading also. So you put objects that are related close to each other. Okay, another law we have the white space. So it means you have to give a reasonable amount of white space in your design for your design to be seen. So we also have color. So there are principles guiding the use of colors. Okay, principle guiding the use of colors. So for instance, if you see your color wheel, we've heard generally that opposite attracts, right, and like poles repel, right? So you see that in your color wheel, two opposite color, they go together. So there are a lot of laws surrounding colors, the use of colors. So you don't just use colors anyhow. Okay, so another thing you have is movement. Okay, so movement just states how the design helps to direct your eyes through itself. So for instance, you make a design, so design should be able to direct the individual's eyes from the top downwards. For instance, you are writing something that help me reach my goal. Okay, there's a way you put that design and you put it in a very bad manner. Some people read it as go design help me. Okay, have you ever seen any design like that? So it means the movement is wrong. Okay, sometimes some people want to do some stylish things, then they end up making a bad movement. Okay, and they allow your eyes to read the wrong thing. So that is for movement. You have to get it right. Okay, so I believe you've gotten this, and we're moving to the next thing. So we have design software. So there are different kinds of design softwares. We have Canva. You understand? Canva is really very popular. These are popular ones. So we have a lot of them. We have a lot of design softwares, but these are quite popular. So we have Canva. Canva is very, very, very popular, and it has a phone version which a lot of persons use. We also have Illustrator. We have Corel Draw, most times used for prints. We have what they call it now, Affinity Designer. So these are popular design software. Also, we have Photoshop, which we're going to be using in this course. Okay, so Photoshop. Why is Photoshop important, or why did we choose Photoshop? Okay, I trust if you are starting out design and you have a PC or anything, I believe you should start with Photoshop. Okay, why is that so? So Photoshop actually has two sides. Okay, there's a photo editing side, and there's the graphical side of Photoshop. There's manipulative side, and I think the photo editing side is also the manipulative side of Photoshop. I also have the artistic side of Photoshop, graphical side of Photoshop. So it combines two powerful forces together. Okay, meanwhile most of the software, they only have one force, and most of them they have to split. Okay, for instance, you have Corel Draw, you also have Corel Photo. Okay, I think that's the name is called. That was the name it was called then. I don't know the name is called now, but I think you have Corel Photo Paint, something like that. So most of these softwares, they split themselves into two to really get the photo aspect. But Photoshop is doing the two together. Okay, and I believe Adobe owns Adobe Illustrator. Okay, so Illustrator does more of the graphical aspect. Okay, more of the vector aspect. Okay, when it comes to design, it can also be used to do graphic, but using Photoshop saves you time because you have everything compressed. Okay, but there's still some logo design, everything you want to do in Illustrator. So looking at all this, you know why Photoshop is important. Okay, and why we are choosing it. So guys, it's time for action. I believe you guys have been so eager to see what are we doing here. We need to get to start. I don't need grammar or things like that. The Nigerian guy will say, no speak grammar for me. Let me get to action. Sorry if I'm using the Nigerian language or pidgin English. Okay, but I just want to get it. We are diving into action now. Okay, so let's get into the software. Okay, so this is going to be our outline. First of all, I'm going to teach you how to open Photoshop, then getting familiar with your workspace, your toolbox, importing, removing background, adding shapes, adding text, layers, moving and resizing objects, retouching, adding some effects, that's blending mode, filters, clip masking, then saving and exporting. Mind you, this is not the entirety of Photoshop. Like I said, Photoshop has two sides. There's some people that use Photoshop for only photo editing, so they have to know like intensively all the photo editing aspect of it. But here we're just going to scratch through the surface. Okay, this is not all you need to know, but this is all you need to start with. Okay, all you need to start with. And I'm doing this because most times most persons end up not learning the software because they go to embracing a lot of things. They want to learn a lot of things. No, you don't start by learning like that. You start by taking the what do I call it now, the tools that are needed. Basically, you start from scratch. You learn from inside out. Okay, inside out. You go to the tools that you would need. You start from there. Then later you start learning other things, because certainly there is nobody that would say, I know all the tools in Photoshop, I know all of them. Do you get? I know everything. No. It's something you have to learn with time. So if you are taking all this, know that you're going to be a good graphic designer, even with this outline we have here. So without wasting much time, let us begin. Okay guys, here is Photoshop. So if you open Photoshop for the first time, here's what you're going to be seeing. Apart from the first time, any other time you open it, this is the first window you will be seeing. Okay, or the home page you will be seeing. Okay, so if you've not gotten Photoshop, all you just have to do is enroll this course. And how do you do that? You do that just by following our WhatsApp channel. The link is there for you to download. Okay, so if you have any other, maybe an earlier version, maybe like 2022, 2023, you can still manage that. But why suffering yourself if you can just get it from the channel? So I'll just advise you do that. Okay, for the records, I am an Adobe community expert. Okay, so everything you'll be getting, just be assured that it is going to help you in one way or the other. Okay, so I just want to stick through this course and just take it seriously, so at the end you get what you came for. Okay, so that's it. So I'm just going to be showing you around this interface. When I made this interface, like the home page. Okay, so here you have here at the bottom you have recent files, the recent files you worked on. So for you, you're not going to see anything there because you've not worked on anything. If indeed you've not worked on anything, for those persons that have not tried that, because I know when you have the software, you should have tried a lot of things. Okay, or maybe you're just learning for the first time. If you're learning for the first time, you're not going to find any file here, but if you've worked on something before, you're going to find it there. So, and I'm connected to the internet. That's why you can see all this stuff. So if you don't see some kind of things here, it doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. So you have them there. Then you have a button here to create a new file. Okay, and you also have another one to open an already existing file. Okay, you have this one here. You can use to browse tutorial. But if you don't get to see some of this, it doesn't matter. Okay, the main thing is that you see this create or open. Okay, and you find the Photoshop logo, of course. Okay, so let's get into it. So if I click on create, so here there are a lot of things here, but don't get yourself confused. Okay, these are different sizes. Okay, you can design in. So depending on what you want to design. So if you're designing for TV, maybe HD, you can just click on this. These are custom sizes you can just use that came with the software. Okay, so there are different sizes. You can go to photo if you are doing a design for a photo of this size, or anything, art and illustration, or print. Most times people use A4, which is a letter size, so, or A3, but it depends on what you want to do. Okay, but most times you have to create your own size. Okay, like I said, most times you have to create your own size. Okay, and that is what this is for. Okay, so you get to name your file here. So let me say a photo, and let me say first design. So you just name your file here, first design. Okay, first design. So you put the width and the height. So I'm just going to leave it like this. So you either design in inches, in pixels, or points, anyone you choose. But there are some advice I'm going to give you. If you are designing for screen, it's better you use you can work with pixel or even inches. Okay, you can work with pixel, inches, and that thing you have to note is the resolution. Okay, most times I put my resolution at 300 because most of the things I design are for print. Okay, so if you are designing for print, make sure it's at 300. Then you can use your inches. Okay, so if somebody's designing 5 by 5 feet or anything by anything feet, okay, you can just put the direct figures here because the resolution is in 300. So take note of that. Okay, but if your resolution is not in 300, don't take it as feet. Okay, so that's one hack that I learned. Okay, so you just have to take note of that. But if you are designing for screen, anything goes, providing to be clear enough. So even if you use 300, it's not bad. So it makes your design sharp. Okay, so apart from that, every other thing is okay. You don't have to set any other thing. But your RGB, I would love you put it in RGB. RGB is for screen designs. Okay, but if you are printing, you can use CMYK. But anyways, if you are somebody that goes to the printer, they will still convert it to CMYK. So there's no need. So just stick to your RGB. That's why I don't have to touch it. Okay, so here you can choose your background color. But most times I want it to be in white. Okay, sometimes if you put it on transparent, that means you just be designing, there will be no background. Okay, so you can try these different things on your own. Okay, on your own. So I'll just choose white and I'll just click create. This is what I have created. It looks strange, right? And the interface is somewhat scary because you've not understood the basics. Okay, but I am going to demystify it right now. So next thing you want to do is to get familiar with your workspace. So you might see some things are not in place. You might look at where is the toolbar? At least every software there's always a toolbar. So any software at all, if I get to the software I don't know, first thing I'm looking for is this window. If you are using a PC, okay, even if you're using a Mac, you still find it. So I go to workspace. So I set a workspace that I'll be able to find everything. Okay, so I just change it to reset essentials. Okay, so you choose a better workspace that will be best for you. So if at all, I'm showing you that because most times if you're working with Photoshop for the first time, you might display some tools. Okay, you might just put it here and you might be confused. How am I going to reset it back? You might just be confused at the end of the day, but you can always reset it. Okay, you can always reset it by using Windows Reset. So that's a good thing to take note of, because I know you are going to scatter everything. That was what I did when I started. I was scattering everything, but take note, that's how to solve that issue. I'm just going to try to show you around so you get the basics. So you have your toolbar here. So here you have different windows for different functions. Okay, different windows. So here's just like your standard bar. So you see your file, which you'll find in every software. The major thing here, you used to save, you used to open, to create a new one. So edit, you have your copy or paste here, different things. You have your image, your different tools to adjust your image. You have your layer, different tools to adjust your layer. Your type, which I said is your typography or your text, different things to edit it. You have select, if you want to select an image or an object. So don't mind me, I'm going very fast because I'm still going to come to some of these things and you're going to understand it more better. So you have your filter, you add different effects to your pictures from here. So you have the 3D layer. Some persons use Photoshop for 3D, create some 3D text and all that. So here is that panel you can use for that. So you have your view, how you set your rulers and the rest. So these are also important things. You to set your rulers and the rest. As a beginner, especially in graphic design, you need to understand your ruler. Okay, you need to understand your ruler. Okay, so those are tools you want to see live. You can use this to check them so they display. See, this is our ruler I was not showing just before we came here, so I can remove it. So you see your ruler is out, I can view it back. So that is what view mainly does. It shows you different tools. So these are plugins. Like Adobe has some kinds of plugins that if you're going very advanced, you can get them. Okay, so you have window, then you have help if you want to learn how to do some things from online. You've got it here. So, and another thing I want you to know that here we have the property panel. Okay, when I mean property, any object you put here, you'll find the different properties of that object here. You'll find the size. What are the properties? The size. So it means you can manipulate the size from here, from this place. You can manipulate the color from here. So all the property that has to do with any object you bring, you will find it here. That is the secret to everything. Any object you place here, you will always find a way to manipulate it from this property panel. So if you want to change the stroke, like the line size or anything, you will find it here. Just look towards this direction, you will find it here. Okay, and that you can bank on. Okay, so that's it for that panel. Okay, that's for that panel. And here is still like another mini property panel. I mean, this second key that you have here is another mini property panel. So if you don't find it here, you will find it here. Okay, so take note of that. So I believe it's becoming smaller in your eyes, as in when you first you open it for the first time, it's very big, but it's becoming smaller because I'm beginning to describe some things. Okay, so we have here's the layer panel. Okay, layer panel, and this is like the most important you have in Photoshop. Okay, and this has led many people to pack out the Photoshop because most of the time they don't understand, but I'm going to demystify it for you here in this course. Okay, so that's it. So you have any object at all you bring to Photoshop is going to appear here. Okay, there's going to be a section for it. Like here you have only the background, which is this white. Okay, so it means if I import an image, you will find it here, or if I add a shape, you will find it here, of which I'm going to show you later. So you don't need to worry. You don't need to worry about anything. If I'm going very fast or things like that, you don't have to worry because I'm still going to touch, like most of these things I've been highlighting, I'm still going to touch them. Okay, so now I'm going to face the toolbar. Okay, now I'm going to face the toolbar. Okay, so this toolbar, I'll just highlight some things to you. There are different things that you can apply here. Okay, for instance, we have the select. Okay, it has to do with selecting anything. When I mean anything, I mean anything. Okay, we have these first three, they are used for selecting. Okay, they are used for selecting anything. Okay, and they are always shortcuts to use, of which if you alight on any of the subject, you are going to see the shortcut. Okay, this is like M, mark way to M. So these three, they are for selections. So we have this is to crop. Okay, if you've used any photo editing software, you know what is crop. Okay, so I'm going to press Ctrl Z like the normal way we do it in any other software. Ctrl and Z takes it back. Okay, So that's it. So we have all that tools, all the amazing tools, all the amazing tools here. We have the healing brush. We're going to use this. I believe we're going to use this later. I'm sure. This brush, we're going to use it. The brush is like just like a pencil you use. Okay, just like a pencil use. We are going to touch on it also. So there are different things you want to use, but I want us to focus on some things that we can pick out. Okay, that will get us started immediately. So what is that tool we want to get started with? So first of all, let us import an image. So I'm just going to import an image. You can import an image in any way. You can drag and drop. You can do it by going to file. Okay, so let's do it this way. Go to file. You can go to import. Okay, so but these are the old patterns. So what you can just do is to open your folder, the folder you have your image in, and you can drag and drop. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this image. And one thing I want to remind you of is that once you've enrolled for this course, once you've joined the WhatsApp channel, you have all these assets to yourself, because we're going to send it to you once you have enrolled. But if you've not enrolled, please, you have to enroll to get all these assets. Okay, so we have all these assets and it's for free, so just do that. Okay, so I'm going to import an image just by dragging and dropping. Like I said, this is the fastest way. Dragging and dropping. Okay, so you drag and you drop. Okay, so do you remember where crop is still? Because I showed you crop. Okay, so let's crop this to this size. So I just clicked on crop and we're going to crop it here. Okay, just going to crop it here. So I don't want to confuse you, so I'm just going to take off this ruler. So I click on it and I press delete. Okay, so we'll have our first image here. We have our first image. Okay, so if you are wondering what I zoomed in with, so you just press Alt Select and you scroll in and scroll out for zooming in and zooming out. Okay, so take note of that. That's very important. It's very, very, very important. Okay, so we have this Nike shoe here. Okay, so we've done that. We've done the cropping, and one thing you want to take note of is that any object you select is being highlighted here. Like I said, this is your layer panel, and any object you find on your artboard, which is this particular part you are looking at, okay, anything you have here, you also have it here. It means you can manipulate something from here and from here. So if I click on any object, it's going to be highlighted here. Okay, so just take note of that. And that is that if your Photoshop is not selecting like this, maybe you must have used under design software. If you click on something, it shows where to resize, to transform, and things like that. But if it's not so for you, then you have to come to this option here, auto select here. So if you check it, if it's not checked, if anything you click on might not respond. Hope you are seeing it's not responding. But if you click on auto select, it's going to be responding very fast. So make sure it's checked. Okay, make sure it's checked. So here, just like any software, you can use this to resize, increase, resize, increase, like that. So I'm going to press Ctrl Z for it to go back. So one big deal about Photoshop is that you can remove backgrounds. So for instance, this picture here, we can take away the background. So like I said, I'll be going back to these tools when we start using them. So we're going to use one tool now, which is the polygon laser tool. So another thing you want to know is that any of these tools you have there, like these tools you have here, if you are seeing any little drop down here in front of the tool, it means that there are more to that tool. Okay, there are more tools inside it. So if I right click on this, you find other tools. So these are basically tools to select. Okay, tools to select. So if I click on this one, you just select. So it means I can do anything to this portion. Okay, what I did, I just clicked and drag. I clicked and drag. So take note of this also. You can deselect. If you come to this menu, deselect, it removes the selection. Okay, take note of that. And the shortcut is Ctrl D. If you are using Mac, Command D. Okay, so this is just a free selection. Okay, a free selection. So we have another selection here that is more rigid. This one is not a free. You can't draw around. You just click from point to point, then it selects. Okay, hope you're getting me. Click from point to point, So it means you can do anything with this portion you have. Okay, so now we're going to take out this background. So I'm just zooming in and zooming out. So let's take out this background. This is going to be our first assignment. So I'm going to be clicking, selecting this image. I'm going to be selecting it. So you just go selecting this image. If you want to cut something very neatly, there are two tips I will give you. The first tip is that you should zoom in, and second tip is that make sure your selection is not outside the image itself. Just put it in between, as though you want to be outside and you want to be inside at the same time. Okay, I don't know if you get that. So just allow me cut. I'm just cutting, trying to select this my image. Okay, trying to select this my image. So you should do this even if you don't get it for the first time. You should do it. So you are just, it's just as though you are tracing. Okay, if you've ever traced with a biro before, so you are just tracing from point to point. Okay, from point to point, point to point. I want you to take your time to do this, because when it comes to design, image is everything. Your image is what? Everything. Hold your ears, repeat after me. Your image is what? Everything. Everything. So you have to make sure you trim properly. Trim properly. Okay, okay, see what I'm doing? This is how you trim. Okay, so I might get to speed it up a bit, but you know exactly what we're trying to achieve. We want to select, this is our image, just the hand holding the shoe. That's what we want to select. Okay, so you have to take note of that. Take note of that. Take note of that. Take note of that. So this is what we are doing. This is what we're doing. Someone might be wondering, say, I've seen in the internet too that Photoshop, I thought there was a way they could do it so that it will cut itself. Just be quiet. Just be quiet. Just be quiet. You will thank me later. Just follow me and you thank me later. Okay, you need to practice this. You need to practice this. It will make your hands stronger. So make sure you are properly zoomed in. The mistake that some beginners make is that they are not properly zoomed in. They are not properly zoomed in and they want to achieve a pro look. No, you can't achieve a pro look when you are not properly zooming. And as a beginner, do not rush, because you wanting to rush might worsen the case. Like I assume some persons must have been encountering some for instance, you just mistakenly click and you select the wrong thing and it's already highlighted and you have to start again. So don't be greedy. That's how I would say, don't be greedy. Don't be don't be impatient. Okay, you have to be patient, especially as a beginner. You have to be patient. Okay, you have to be patient. So patiently take this out. Patiently take this out. Me, I'm being very patient now. Don't worry. Apart from this, we are not cutting any other thing. So just take it out. Take it out. Take it out. We're almost done. 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 So what was your first thought about Photoshop when you first saw it? I thought about it. I was literally forced to use Photoshop. I was not a fan of Photoshop before, but I was forced to use it because at that time I started using a Mac operating system and I had to stick with Photoshop because the previous software I was using was not working on Mac. They didn't have a Mac version at that time, so I was forced to use. So if you clicked any points that you are not supposed to click, you can go back by pressing your backspace. You see, backspace takes me back. So if you click a point that you're not supposed to click, so you just use backspace. Okay, just use backspace. Remember what I said, zoom in. If you do not get it well, please start again. I know why I'm asking you to start again. I know why I'm asking you to start again. Okay, start again. Start again. Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. Be fine. Don't be lazy. If you're not from Nigeria, then you don't know this. The name will call you fine. Fine. It's a cultural name here in Nigeria. So if your name is fine, please don't be lazy. Make sure you follow through. Make sure you follow your captain. Okay. If not, you're not going to arrive at the point you want to arrive at. Okay, so we have this, we have this. We are almost done. We need a trophy, really. We need a trophy. How many of you are going to give me a trophy? So I purposely I'm purposely going to speed up some part, like I'm doing to some parts, just to save time, because I want this call to be short as possible. So we have this. So we have this, right? So if you zoom out, remember now we've gotten to the other end. Go to the end. So we can zoom out now. You can see that our shoe and is selected. So before you can delete any layer from or any part of any object, you have to rasterize. Okay, so I'm going to rasterize this now. I've rasterized the layer so I can delete. So you see, was that what we wanted to delete? No, I purposely did this so that you see. So I don't want to delete this. I want to delete the background. Okay, so I'm just going to Ctrl Z. So what do? I go to select and I go to inverse. So when I say inverse, it does the opposite. So it highlights the background instead of image. It inverses. Okay, it inverses the selection. Okay, so you have this. So if I press delete now, it's going to delete our object. But I'm not going to press delete. I'm going to press select and mask. Okay, delete is a wrong way of doing things because you cannot repair once you've deleted. You can't repair. But I'm going to do that. Okay, but since we are using mask, we don't have to inverse it. The mask is going to understand. Okay, it's going to understand. So do not forget this. You can watch the story again and again to get it. Okay, so I'm just going to go to select, then inverse back. Okay, so here I'm going to click select and mask. Okay, so I'm going to turn the output, changing the output to new layer. Okay, new layer with layer mask. Okay, and like I said, why I'm using mask is because it's not totally destroyed. Okay, so I can delete this out. It's not totally destroyed. If you look at this side here, you can see that we still have our background. So why I like using that is because sometimes you might want to a part, maybe for a part you've removed, you've over cut, you can get that part back. But if you delete it, there's no way you can get it back. But if you're using a mask, you can get it back. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Okay, let me say I didn't cut this finger part well. I can click on my mask. Remember, there are two sides here. Click on this masked part. It passes you in black and white. I can use my brush, then I can add here. You can see that the background is coming back. But if you deleted, there's no way you can do that. Okay, so and that thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut out this part because this part there's supposed to be no background. Okay, so let's cut it out. But make sure you're clicking on your mask. Remember, make sure you're clicking on your mask. Don't click on the image, click on your mask. Okay, so that's it. So I'm cutting it out. So what do we do next? We deselect, Ctrl D, so it takes off the selection. So we have our image. So how many of you have arrived at that? We have our image. So I took you through a long route. So let me take you through the easy route. But please, you have to learn this long route. You have to learn it. Okay, so this is the easy route. I click on it, especially the new Photoshop we have, all the CC versions. You can do this. I think from 2022, 2021, you can do this. So I just click on remove background. Somebody wants to curse me. EKD, why did you carry us through this route? I know that there's an easy way. Sorry, and no sorry, because you have to go through this. I suffered this before they brought this version. I suffered. You have to suffer too. Sorry, you have to suffer. You will suffer. No, but it's not a mere suffering. You have to know that because there are some things you have to still cut, because sometimes you can cut with this and you can see that our cutting was neater than this. In fact, I want to go back to my cutting. You can see we didn't find all this yellow stuff, but sometimes you can just use it. But I would have preferred to go back. You can see that some parts have not been cut. So sorry, I'm going back to my selection. I'm going back to my selection. Please learn how to cut manually. Please, 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 I'm begging you. Some people say, EKD, you are anti-progress, anti-innovation. Thank you, I appreciate you. But you just saw for yourself what it did to us, right? You saw for yourself what it did to us. So you've learned your lesson. Okay? So that's it for the image. So we are going to move to something more interesting. which is we've learned to remove the background, which is adding of shapes. Okay, so we can add shapes to it. Like I said, any of the tool in which you find this little drop down here, it means there is more to the object. So if I right click on it, it's going to show me different shapes. So you have a triangle, remember what I said. If you want to manipulate, okay, if you want to manipulate any object, okay, the property of that object, you have to look to your right, or you look above. Okay, you look above. So we have the fill here, red. Remember, color is a property. You can see that we also have it here, red. Also have the stroke here, white. Okay, we also have the size of the stroke. You can increase it. You can change the stroke to black. So that's the property of the shape, so you can manipulate it. But for now, what we need is a square, so we can draw it out of proportion, like out of the shape. So we could color it, let's say kind of peach. We can color it this. Okay, so we'll have this color. So somebody wondering, I just covered my entire artboard. I can't even find my shoe anymore. Have I lost it? EKD, have I lost it? No, you've not lost it. It is still there. Okay, so you have to understand the layer section or the layer panel. Okay, you have to understand the layer panel. So things are organized in do I say an ascending manner? Okay, so it means the first thing you important this time that will be beneath, like the bottom of the bottomest, if there's anything like that. Okay, so you have this was the first thing we added, this was the next shoe added, but this is the most recent we added, so it's going to be at the top. But right now we want this to be at the background. So what do we do exactly? So we are beginning to understand the layer panel, right? So before you do that, let us delete this because we do not need it in any way. So I'm just to click on it. Make sure you unlock it. Click on that unlock. EKD, how did you unlock it? And how do you lock a panel? Okay, I'm going to show you, just be patient. So if you click on any panel here, you can click on this padlock you have here. Click on it, then it's locked. And when it's locked, you can't do anything to it. You can't even change the color. You can't even move it. You can't even select it. Look at this one that is not locked. When we clicked on it, we saw this selection. Through the corners, we can reduce, we can adjust. But when it's an object that's been locked, you can't select it. So if you want to argue with me, let's try it here. Let's lock this. So if we lock it, you can't move it. You can't even find any nothing at the angles to resize it. You can't even find it. Okay, you can't find it, and that is because we've locked it. Okay, and you will say that why should anybody lock a layer? People should lock a layer because sometimes you don't want things to move around. When you have about 30 objects here and you are clicking some things, instead of clicking some things, you are clicking some other things. You have to lock some things in order to move very well. So sometimes your background needs to be locked. Okay, so I'm going to take this backward. So how do I change the order of this thing? It's very simple. I'll just pick it behind. So I need it behind the shoe. I don't need it behind this background. So you can see that there's a blue line showing, indicating that it's been moved backwards. So if I click and drag it backwards, just in between my background and my shoe, it's going to be there, right? So that's it. So if I want to take this back, so that's how you change the order of things. I'm just press Ctrl Z. So my background, I need to lock it. You have to lock yours too. Hope you are following through, because if you are not following through, I'm seeing you from here. I'm seeing you from here. Kelvin, I can see you. You are not following. I can see you from here. You better follow so that you don't come and ask me a question in my DM that EKD, what's that? Follow through. Okay, so I've locked the background. So this part, I can delete it. If you want to delete anything from a layer panel, click on it, then you press backspace. Or if you want the longer route, click on it, then you press your delete icon here. Click on it, press your delete icon here. It's going to ask you delete layer. Yes, it's gone. We don't need it, so don't panic. We don't need that layer. So this is it. This is what we've done. This is where we've come thus far. Okay, so there are other things you want to take note of. Okay, other things. So we have this eye kind of icon here. So it is to make a layer visible or invisible. So sometimes I want to see through this. I want to make my shoe visible so I can see what is here right there. So you try different layers together. Try up to like maybe 10 layers. Just create different shapes, import different backgrounds, and just try it. Change your hierarchies, make some visible, make some. Just try these things. You will find them useful. So anything I've not taught you, do not mind, because it will not matter now. At least for now, it will not matter. Okay, so I'm going to make this visible. Even my background, I can make it invisible. Okay, see, it's gone. It's back. So take note of that. Okay, that's the major thing you need to know about layers. Okay, like what I said earlier, you can resize any object you want to resize. Okay, for instance, we can resize this to resize we prefer. Okay, you can use this side. If you've not worked with any design software before, you can use this to resize as much as you want it to be. Okay, so for this sake of tutorial, I want to leave it like this. Okay, so sometimes you might want to resize unevenly, so you can use your shift. If you don't want it to be even, you can use your shift, but it's not advisable most of the times. Okay, some people stretch their designs a lot, and that's very bad. It's not aesthetically pleasing. Okay, so if you are reducing, it has to be even. Sometimes it might be the inverse. Your Photoshop, you might need to hold shift to reduce it evenly. Okay, but nevertheless, you have to know that. Okay, so rotate. You want to rotate an object, you can just place your cursor at the edge, like where I'm pasting it now. You can use that to reduce it, to rotate your object to any angle you want. Okay, so remember, we are scratching through the entire software. Okay, so we have this here. What else do we want to learn? Okay, so for instance, like what I said from the beginning, you can edit photos with Photoshop. Okay, that's why it's called Photoshop. You can edit photos, you can retouch photos, and I guess you've seen photographers retouching their photos, removing pimple and the rest. We're not going to be going too deep into photo editing and all that, but I want to show you just some ways you can make your photo look dramatic. Okay, so for instance, one important thing to note about photos and background is light. Okay, light. So you can see this is our light. It's it has to be reddish, and looking here, we see somehow yellowish and greenish. Okay, looking at our image, you can see there's somehow yellowish, of which does not make it sync with the background. So what we can do is to click on it. So there's one easy way of applying filters to your photo. So you just go to filter, then go to camera raw filter. Okay, so there are some little edits you can do here to make your photo dramatic. So for instance, we have the first drop down. Do not touch any other thing. You can start from here. We have the first drop down. We have the exposure. This is how bright the image should be. If you increase it too much, to turn into another thing you will not be able to recognize. So you just do that little by little. And even for the contrast, you can just add a little. So most times it gives more depth. So depending on your photo, you can add shadow or no shadow. What I would advise is that you bring another photo apart from this, then apply all these things to it. Okay, so if you want to increase the shadow, most times these things, they make it more dramatic. Okay, more dramatic. You can reduce the blacks, but we don't need to do that in this case. So for instance, color. So here we can adjust the color. So I think this image has to be it has to come to this side. When it comes to temperature, we can leave it here, but when it comes to the tinting, we can shift it to this side, so that, because we know our background is pinkish, so we don't want to use all of them. Please don't use all of them. Just add a little, so it becomes a little bit reddish. So we know it matches the light we have on our background. So another thing I want you to note here is this clarity is very powerful. You have texture, it adds more grain like stuff to your image. Okay, but this clarity is very powerful. So most times I use it to make my image more dramatic. You can see that it's becoming more dramatic. So you can see it's very nice. So you can add grains, but I'm not going to add any of this to my image. Okay, for the sake of the tutorial, you can add whatever you want to add. So these tools I've shown you alone is powerful. We can dive into all this maybe later on touching the curves and all that, especially for photo editors. Okay, but we're not going to dive into that right now. Okay, so we have this. Our photo is a bit dramatic, so you can click OK, or you can see the transformation. I hope you saw that. So it's looking as if our picture is in this background, because it was never in this background. Okay, it was never in this background. So, and just to remind you, all our assets, every asset we use in this course is provided in the course file. Okay, so you want to just make a demand on a WhatsApp channel and it's going to be granted you. Okay, so we have this done. So the next thing I want to show you is how to add text. Okay, how to add text, and I told you this is very important when it comes to graphics design. So we're going to add text. Let's just add a text. Let's add keys. Okay, keys. So you will see this font. I wasn't the one that applied this one. This was the last font I used. So Adobe has this character of you using the last font you applied. Even after you've closed your project, it will start with the last font you used. It's going to start from there. So you have to get used to that. Okay, so I'm just going to change it to another font. So where do you change it? Guess where you can change the font. The property panel. I told you anything that has to do with property of any object is here. So if I click on this, I can change. Okay, so this is the font I want to use. Bebas Neo regular. Okay, so I'm just going to increase it. So, and do not forget our design principle. Okay, do not forget our design principles. We are applying it. We'll be applying it here. Okay, so we have these keys. So we're going to make it yellow color, kind of yellow. Okay, so we can use this color. So what I want to do is I want to take it back, like behind the shoe. So you can see that it's behind the shoe now. So what else? You can see keys. Okay, you can see in this design we have negative space. Okay, we have negative space, and I told you about balance, right? You can see how much you're trying to make sure everything is balanced here. I believe you can see our efforts to making this very balanced. So a very simple way of making something balanced is by doing a proper aligning. Okay, we have three kinds of aligning. We have left align, right align, and center align. Those are the three basic types of aligning. So you have to go with one of those to make your composition balanced. So you can see I am mixing them. Okay, you can go with one of those, or you can mix them. Okay, you can mix them. You can see that when it comes to this and holding this Nike shoe, you see that it's at the middle, but for this part I'm applying a left align. I don't know which align it is from the screen right now, but it's a left align for me. Okay, you can see as much as we're trying to balance this, because that is the most important thing about graphic design. You want to balance it, and you can see my edges from here to here. Sometimes you can use your ruler. Okay, use your rulers. I would advise you use your ruler. You can see that from here to here is the same as from here to here. I might get away with it because I've been into it for a long time, but you might not be able to get away with it. So sometimes what you want to do is that put a particular box here. So when you are done, put your ruler here. So I'm putting a box here, then you can duplicate it. How do you duplicate a particular shape, a text, or anything? Hold your Alt, then move it. Okay, so I'll move this here. So you can see that it's about the same shape, right? You can see that it's about the same place, right? So I delete this, take this out, I take this out. So if you're a beginner, you have to do that. You would have to do that. Okay, so you want to make sure your work is balanced. Remember that principle we talked about, balance. Okay, balance. Okay, so I see some people doing design and their work is at this point. This is an abomination. It's a taboo, brother. It's a taboo. Okay, you just want to make your work properly aligned. So imagine using here, it means you're not applying white space in the rule of using white space into your work. Everything will just be congested. So leave some white space, allow your design to breathe. So my work, I usually give a lot of white spaces, like negative spaces. Okay, so I hope you remember those terms, because if you don't remember them, then you have to go back. Okay, so we have kiss my. So for this, we're not going to use the same pattern of font. We're going to use okay, Bibas. Okay, Bibas. Let's look for a wide. Can we find a wide? So if you do not find this font, you can use something that is closer to it. Okay, use something that is closer to it. So you want to kiss my air. Okay, kiss my air. So this is called Nike Air. Nike Air. Okay, that's what it is called. Okay, Nike Air. So we'll have this here. Okay, sometimes you use this your scroll bar to scroll to the left and right, and use your scroll on your mouse, or here to scroll up and down, up and down. Okay, so we have kiss my air, talking about the literal air, talking about air, like the air you breathe, the air you breathe. Okay, so here let's use a wider font. Like I said, design is all about communication. So if you're writing something, no matter how fashionable you want it to be, if you can't read like that now, I can't know. I see the M, but I can't see the Y. So it means there's something wrong with that, my design. Okay, there's something wrong with it. So I can use another font that would help people see the Y. Okay, you don't have to see all of it, but they have to see a little of it to convince them that that is a Y. So it makes it readable. It makes it readable. Okay, you can see something is going on here. So make sure the space at your bottom left is equal to the space at your bottom. The bottom of your design is equal to the space at the top of your design. Okay, make sure. Okay, so I'm just going to push this a bit. So if we push this to the side, people can literally know that that's an arrow, because there's no other letter in the alphabet that behaves like that. Okay, you know that this is an arrow. You would know that that's an arrow. That's an arrow. That's an arrow. That's an arrow. So I think our design is taking shape, and you might not see everything yet because it's not looking very full now. But when we begin to add different elements, it's going to be looking full. It's going to be looking what? Full. It's going to be looking full. So I'm just going to reduce this a bit. Okay, I'm just going to reduce this a bit. Take this down a bit. Okay, take this down a bit. Okay, and so that our S can breathe Okay, I believe it's making more sense. So I'm gonna have to take off this ruler. So they already know that this is it. We can read it. It's readable. So no matter how confusing I want to make it seem, I think it's readable now, right? I believe it's readable. It's readable right now. So we can even work more. We can work more, right? We can think of doing more. So I think I'll just add. Okay. No, I don't want it to be this bold. So I'm going to pick a regular. Okay. Pick a regular. So all you have to do is to reduce it. Okay. Reduce it. Let's go with this. So I hope you can see this. So what we have to do is just make sure it's centralized. I need to bring it down. Okay, let's take it upward a bit. Upward a bit. Okay. So I'm trying to make this a little bit bold. No, that's not the case. So I think we can go with this. We can go with this. We can go with this. Okay. We can go with this. So this is not bad because we can see everything. Okay. We can see, even if I'm not trying to reveal everything, but we know that this is an M because there's no letter that's formed like this and will not have another line going down. Okay, so that's the logic we use. So sometimes even if you want to make something tricky, you have to do it sensibly. Okay, because at the end of the day, we want to see what is there. We want to see it. So at the end of the day, we want to see what is there. Okay, we want to see what is there. Is there? We want to see what is there. That is just it. That is just it. So feel free to use a font. So I just discovered that this font will be better. So, but you feel free to use a font that you feel will be better. Would be better. Okay, would be better. So I think this would not be bad. This would not be bad. So you keep looking at something that would be better. That would be better. Okay. So I'm going to take it up a bit. So I'm going to take this down. So just see the way we are trying to achieve balance by all means. We're trying to achieve balance. You can see that the space at the top is equal to the space at the bottom and things like that. So you can see that we're really striving to attain balance. Okay, attain balance. We're really striving to attain balance. Okay, so I'm just going to reduce the line spacing. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like this. So we have this. So somebody just asked, okay, what do you do? Did you reduce that line spacing? You find it here. Like I said, anything like property, you can find it here. So this is used to reduce the, not line spacing actually, they call it kerning or tracking of individual characters. So if I reduce it, it will just congest them. Okay, so if I increase it, to increase the line spacing or the track space in between each character. Okay, so you want to take note of that. That is very, very important. That is very important. That is very important. Very important. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to see if any other font would do well here. Trying to see. That's what design is all about entirely. Sometimes you might pick some things, another time you are trying to know if what you picked is okay. Okay, but let's go with this. Let's go with this. So I'm just trying to make things be even here. Okay, trying to bring some form of balance. Okay, so we could go with this. So we have arrived at arranging all our individual elements. So there's something we might want to do to add some additional beauty to this. Okay, to add some additional beauty. And one thing I forgot to say was, make sure you name your individual layers. Like this, it's not proper to name it as a rectangle. Okay, when you have a very big project, you have 30 layers and everything. If you do not name your individual layer, you'll be confused. Okay, so I'm going to name this. How do you name, for instance? I just double click on the name that we have here, like this rectangle one. I just double click on it, so I would have the name, the initial name that is there. I'll have it be highlighted. So here I can change it to background. If I spelled it well. Okay, so we have background. So I think the other things, because they are text, they are named. Okay, so we can leave them like that. We can leave them like And another interesting thing we can do, but I'll do it at the end of the day. Don't worry, I won't do it now. Something interesting we could do is to have like a paper texture. Okay, add like a paper texture to it, make it a little bit funky. Okay, so you have this here, so your paper texture, I can drag it and put it here. So like what I said, let's add it to the keys first. So I put it on the keys. So before doing this effect I want to show you, you have to put it directly on top of the keys. So I have my keys, I have my paper texture here. So what you want to do is to right click here. When you right click, you see different options coming up, different options coming up. So what you want to do, forget about the rest options, just go straight to create clipping mask. If there's a way you right click and you would not find it. I'm going to Ctrl Z now. You might right click some way here, you will not find it. If you right click directly here, you are not going to find it. If you right click directly here, there's enough space here for you to right click. I'm saying this because some people are going to encounter that. So right click here, you find it. So go to create clipping mask. So what this does is that it puts a layer inside another layer. So that layer does not go beyond the boundary the layer that houses it takes. Okay, so it cannot go beyond the boundary of these keys. So that's why it's inside the keys. It's like a background inside the keys. Okay, so if you zoom in now, you see that the paper is inside. Okay, but now you'll be saying, EKD, our color has changed. Yes, I'm aware. So you have it here. And one thing you have to know, once you clip mask, you see a little arrow showing here, pointing to the layer beneath. It means only these two have that business. It does not have a business with any other layer here. It has a business with only this layer. Okay, so that's how to clip mask. These two layers have businesses now, and only this paper texture only has a business with these keys. So that is it. So another interesting thing you want to do is to change the blend mode. Okay, so any layer you want to change the blend mode, you just click on the layer, then come here. Like I said, I'll be exposing the some two step by step as we go through, and that is what I'm doing. Okay, so I guess you've not seen it before. If you've seen it in another layer, so blending mode just manipulates the how object looks visually, just manipulates the look. Okay, so I have different blend mode. You can try them for yourself, but what depending on what you want to achieve, really. So you can see that a different effect is creating, but I want it to sustain the yellow, but I want it to have that paperish texture. This does a bit okay, but it is glowing kind of, and I don't want that glow. I want it to maintain. So I check all of them to see which would maintain the color and still have that paper texture. So I think luminosity does that. So depending on another time, you might want to do a different function which luminosity might not be able to achieve. So you choose that. Okay, so one thing I would advise you to do is that try all of them individually. Just play with them. You might need it in a particular time. Okay, so take note of that. So I've used luminosity. So we want to do the same thing for all our layers, all of them. So I'm going to do the same thing. I believe you've learned the first one, so I'm going to do create clipping mask. So we have it done. Change it to luminosity. So we have our paper. I think I see this nice paper texture. So you just see what we are doing here. We are not really doing much, but we are having a very stylish design here without doing much. Okay, that is a very good arc. So we'll put it on top of it. So far it's covering that part. It doesn't matter if it shifts out. So far it's covering the part where we need it to cover. So create clipping mask, return it to luminosity. So that's it. We have our design here. So you might say, we're good to go. For the beginner, I would say, let's go. No, I'm not ready to go. I have to do some things on it. Okay, I believe you are beginning to understand Photoshop. You begin to understand, and this is what it takes, really. This is what it takes. Trust me. So one thing you might want to do to make your work neater, you can group all our text together. So when you click them, I click one, you can press Ctrl and click everything, all the text, or you press Shift, click the first one, go to the last one. So far they are following each other all through. Go here. If you're having another layer in between, maybe that is not a text, it will not work. You have to do control and click them individually. But here I just have straight text from here to here, so I can click shift, click the first one, then continue holding my shift to, then click this one. So I'll press Ctrl G to group them. So how do I change the name of the group? Double click. Remember, I will change the name of the background. Double click here. So we have text to make your design neater. Okay, so I'm not confused. I know all my texts are here. Okay, undergrade, undergrade, undergrade. So for instance, I have that. So what I want us to do, I want us to apply that paper texture on our background. Okay, so I can do it like this, or I can choose to do it like this. I can increase it. So I'm using shift, so shift increases it from the center. Okay, so if I don't want to increase it from the center, if I just increase it from here, I will have to move it here. But if I'm using shift or alternate rather, sorry, alternate, I increase it from here. Sorry, I increase it from here like this. I'm done. Press enter. So I have to take it behind. So we are applying the same luminosity. Okay, in this case, you are seeing that luminosity is not working. So let's find another one that will work, that will give us that color. So multiply is giving us that color beautifully. Let's see if another will give us that color. No other is giving us that color. So multiply is giving us this kind of beautiful reddish hue. So you can see that the light is on the image so well. Okay, so well. So we have our design going well. So for instance, we can group these two to say this is the background. We can Ctrl G to say this is the. We can Ctrl G to say this is the background. Okay. Okay. So this is it. So it makes your design very neat, very neat. So we have our background. So what do we want to do? We can make this fanciful. We can make this fanciful. So there's one thing I would like to do. I would like to show you how I get this text paper texture and all that. I think that will be handy for you. So like that paper texture, you just go to Google. Paper. Google is a place where you can get almost everything you need for your design. Sometimes you might refer you to other website, but you still get there through Google. So you can see there are different images here. If I go to the images panel, this is where graphics designers will want to dwell. The image session, okay, the image session. So when you go to the image session, you see different kinds of images, different kinds. So I think this was about what we used, this one. So you can click and download. Okay, so the easy way I download, I just right click, save images, then it saves. Sometimes you might not get the format you need, but you just have to look for a format that you can use. Okay, sometimes you have to manipulate and all that. So this was what we use. So you can go to Google and get your design resources, anyone you want to get, even your fonts, you can search them here and get them. But luckily for you, I've provided this, but I'm saying this in case you want to get for your personal jobs. Okay, so that's it there. So to make our design pop, I will have to look for a kind of lacy stuff to put on it. Okay, so I'm going to find a 3D lace tag. Okay, 3D lace tag. So I'm going to try to look for something. I go to images. I think I like this. We can manipulate this and put it on top of our design. So let's take this. So what you just do is right click, save as, and you download. But it's already on the project file, so I'm just going to use it for it. I'm just showing you how to get resources. Okay, you guys have to be smart. You have to be smart. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom this off. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to remove this background. Remove it. So Photoshop is very smart. It's going to remove it for us. So there are some things we care about. Number one, I don't like the color. I do not like the color, and some parts were not removed properly. Take note of that. Some parts were not removed properly. And I think I want to give this thing a pink feel, not a reddish feel. Okay, not a reddish feel. I don't like that reddish feel. So what do we do to our color? We can change our color. So I'm just going to change this color a bit. Change it a bit. Pink side. I want it to be pinkish, not reddish. Okay, not reddish. So I believe this is not bad. It's not bad. Okay, so for our list, I just removed the background. Photoshop helped me to do that very smartly. So for instance, you can see some cuts that we do not like here. Like I said, Photoshop does not know your mind 100%. Sometimes it makes some mistake. It's not yet very perfect. Okay, it's not yet very perfect. So sometimes you find some lag, things like that. So this is what we've arrived at. So what we want to do is we'll manipulate this color. Like I said, Photoshop is a master manipulator. Okay, it manipulates objects. So what I want to do, let us smoothen this part first of all. So like I said, we did not delete the background, we masked it. And whenever you choose remove background, it's going to mask it out. That's why you can still see the original photo here. And you can see this white and black part. So let's restore this part because we need it. So what I do is that I pick my brush. Some people think the brush is only for painting things. No, I use the restore. So I'm going to restore this part just by clicking and rubbing it. It's going to be restored. So I want this part to be smooth. So like I said, if you want to touch an object, the property of an object or a tool, you find it upward or at the side. Okay, so I'm going to look here. I'm going to reduce the size of the brush because right here I want it smooth. So I'll make this as smooth as possible, as though this did not break. Okay, so I've not gotten it yet. So you're going to try to get it as though this lace actually ended here. So you can see that from far it's exactly as though it ended here. So I can use this, I can cut this part off. That's okay. Let me cut a little part off. Okay, I can cut this. Let's cut this part off. Okay, so find our shape. It's pretty much okay. So you see why you need to know how to cut manually, because sometimes you would have to cut manually to make some things really straight. Okay, so it's not that bad now. So you can do this, take this off, make sure that part is circular. So like I said, that is not the priority of this picture, so we can leave it like that. Okay, we can leave it like that. We'll shift this a bit here, so look as though no, I forgot, we did something to our text. So let's just shift it from here. What exactly are we shifting? What exactly? So we are shifting the airs. Let's shift to the side so it falls smoothly on. Okay, or we could bring it forward, but we're not going to do that. Okay, we're not going to do that. No, or maybe lastly we can add a shadow here, so it looks as though it's casting a shadow on this A. If we're going to do that, please remind me if you can. So the next thing we want to do is to change this to white. So how do we change this lace to white color? Like I said, Photoshop can manipulate photos. That's why it's called Photoshop. So we click here. There is a little kind of circle here. I think the fourth tool you have here, the first one is not active. Second one, you have effects. Here you have this masking, used to mask. Then here you have your effects. Okay, or you can call it an adjustment layer. So we can click it, then we'll go to hue/saturation. Okay, so what we want to do is I want to reduce. We don't want to change it to another color. First of all, anybody that can tell me the reason why this is happening, why it's applying to everything, although we want to apply it just to this lace, is because we have not clip masked. You know what I said about clip? Remember what I said about clip masking? You want this to have a business with only this lace. You put them side by side, then you do your clipping mask. Then it's going to point to it and say, I have business with only this lace. Then any effect you apply is going to affect only that. Okay, do you love the red lace like this? I don't like it. You can do it for your design, but I do not like it. So I want to reduce the saturation. I want to turn it to white. So you can see that I reduce the saturation, so it's not having any colors, so it has no choice but to take white. So I increase the lightness a bit. Okay, if I increase it too much, it's going to remove the details. So I just increase it a bit. Okay, increase it a bit. So we have our design, we have like our lacy, as though this is the shoelace. Okay, so we have that. We have that. So that's for that. So we can make this more interesting by adding some little text. So I'm just going to get paper. Like I said, you can go to Google and get this stuff. All these stuffs we have now. Here you can go to Google. Like this one I'm going to open right now. We have it here. We have it here on Photoshop. We have it here on Photoshop. We have it here. Oh, rather, we have it on Google. Okay, you can get it on Google if you look at the name. So this is just a paper tier. One way to be a good graphic designer, or to show that you're a good graphic designer, is knowing how to Google things. Okay, so for instance, this one you can say paper tier. You can Google it out. You will find it on Google. So I'm just going to give it. I'm giving this stuff like a vintage kind of look. So giving this stuff. So I want to place a text here. So so I can say text Nick. I'm editing the previous text. You see why it's going to lock some layers? So I'm going to lock this now, or the entire text. I'm going to lock it so that it does not interrupt what I'm doing. It does not interrupt what I'm doing. So I'm going to lock it. I'm going to put this right over here. Right over here. So you get the drill, right? Someone is still going to know that that is a K. Someone will know that that is a K. So I hope you get the drill. So I'm going to put this here. Okay, so let's close this. Let's close the text panel. So we'll come right here, it's here. We're still going to look for this. What did I do to you, please? What did I do to you? So I just clicked on an empty area. I clicked on an empty area, then I got this. So it's going to be on top. If it's not on top, drag it to the top. It has to be on top of the layer you want it to appear on top. So I have this here to appear here. Okay, so I'm going to reduce the size by doing this, or you can reduce the font size directly by scrolling this. You can see this on the property bar. You can do this, but that takes too much time, so I prefer to use this. So I can say Nike. I can say Nike's new shoe. I can say is a blast. You will want to. So I can do this. So one thing you notice is the way we are using colors. Like I said, colors have to be balanced. You get, some people want to use too much colors in their design. That's what makes their design so silly. So silly. Don't use too much color. Like I said, study your color wheels. Colors that are opposite will work together. Okay, colors that are directly opposite work together. Some colors that are side by side, you get, will also work together. Okay, you don't want to use just any color. Or you can find, it's very easy nowadays, go to Google, say just search for show me a color palette, or color palette, different color palette. They will show you. So you can pick one color palette and use the colors on your design. Things have become easy. In those days when we used to design, we did not know about all this, so we cracked our brain to start looking for colors. Okay, but now you don't have to do that. Everything is there for you. So we have this, and we could say so I want a particular font. So I believe it's in the course file also. So I'm going to install it. This is the font I want to use. So how do you get fonts? Let me get this font for you so you know how to get font. So the name of the font is Segoi font. Segoi script, I think. So the name of the font is Segoi script. So I'm going to try to get it from Google. So, but there's a warehouse of fonts. There are fonts. Okay, you install fonts the way you install software, literally. Okay, the way you install software is just a slight difference. So this is the font. You can check it out. You have a lot of fonts here. You have a lot of fonts. So we can search for that font. I think the name is Sagoi, something like that. Okay, I have it here, Segoi. So let's search for it here, Segoi. script. Okay, we'll search for it. If you don't find it here, don't worry. If you do not find it here, do not worry. You can just issue directly on Google, say Go script, right? So you can find it here. So I see it here. So there are a lot of free fonts to download from here. So I can download it, can download and download and download. So when I download it, I will have that file. I will have this course, the one we have in our course file. I will have that kind of document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on it. So you don't have to extract it. Just double click on this file you have here. Then going to show install here. So once you install it, Photoshop will automatically recognize it. All your softwares will automatically recognize it. Okay, you don't need to close and open. That was then. You need to close and open. So I'm going to search for it. Go. So we have them here. So I can use this. I don't want it to be bold. I don't want it to be too. So I can use this, right? So another thing, this is centralized right now. So how do I left align? So I have this here. If you scroll down in your properties section, you scroll down a bit, you'll find this left align. So I could use this and turn it to black. Okay, see where I went just now? Click on your color, you find property here, you change it to black. Okay, so I can use this for the sake of this design. I can use this. I just want to look a bit funky. Most times colors no, it's very important to choose good fonts. Very important. So it's, you see it made our design look funky, right? It made it look funky. Right? So we have this here. We can even dare to increase the size. All right, so just like a handwritten something. Hope you can see that it's bringing out beauty. It's kind of beautifying our design. This can be a cover page, right? So you want to make it more interesting. Of course you would have other write-ups here. So here we can put something like and not near my face, dude. So it can be a continuous reading. So I'm just going to drag it. Be careful when you click, when you do your clickings. Be careful. Be careful when you do your clickings, okay? Be very careful, because you might click something you don't want to click. That's why we started locking layers, right? So when you are clicking, when you want to add a new text or something, sometimes this thing is too long, so I have to limit. Paper, okay, let me say tone paper text, right? I can name it paper text, right? So I can do something with humor. I can say kiss my ears. I can say not my face at the bottom. So I can say not near my face, dude. So I can say not near my face. You can see I'm trying to just add humor to it. So I can put an exclamation. Can use this. So there's a way of providing contrast. Like I was teaching you the principles of design. We can also provide contrast by changing the text. So imagine if I'm using the same text, the same font here and here, it might not create much contrast. So there was a reason why I put this paper here, is to show contrast, show that this is a different segment, then this is a different segment. That's why this is on the red background, this is on the paper, right? That is one secret of design. Provide contrast. Okay, so now I'm going to change the size of this for the sake of contrast. Okay, I'm going to change the size. You can see that this is a bit lighter, this is thick, lighter. All these are to provide contrast, trust me. So I can make this white. So if we read the entire thing, see, I'm not near my face, dude. Okay, you can put and not near my face, dude. So we can do this to add it to. I'm going to use area. Okay, I'm going to use area. We can use this kind of area. So we can close the spacing in between the lines. Okay, and how do we do that? We can scroll. So one thing you must have noticed about Photoshop is that any of these components, whether or properties that can be adjusted, once you place your cursor on them to show you the scroll bar, you must have noticed that. So any of these tools you want to adjust, you can click here. Then if I reduce it, if I take it to the left, it's reducing it. Okay, so it has reduced. So seeing I'm not near my face though, so we are trying to provide contrast by reducing it so they don't have the same size. So you can see that there's enough contrast here. So we can still create more contrast by making this bold, this do. So contrast can do a lot to your work. Contrast can do a lot to your work. Okay, so we have this here, we have a text here. We can also put another text here. Okay, let's say this is let's say this is 10,000. Let's say this is 10,000 USD, right? Let's put dollar. Let's put USD here, right? So we can put this here also. So you can see the way we are using white space. Our work has a lot of space, quite a lot of space. So one thing we can do is to push our shoe a bit to this side so it stays at the middle. Okay, because now there are a lot of things and it's contending with it for the middle. You can see how our work is looking beautiful. So there's one thing we can add to it, and I'm adding this because I want to show you another. I'm adding this because I want to show you another function. Okay, so I'm just dragging. I'll just drag and drop this Nike logo to this point, so you can see it's black color. Like I said, I want to show you a super tool here in Photoshop that would blow your mind. Okay, so I'm going to just use this to show you the different things that can be achieved there. Okay, so that's like a little secret I have in Photoshop. It's not a secret, everybody, most persons know it. Okay, so you right click here. Remember, do not right click here, and don't tell me that EKD, I'm not seeing that part. If you right click here, you are not going to see it. You have to right click here. Okay, and let's rename this layer. Let's say Nike logo. If you don't name your layers, I'm going to king you. Okay, even if I cannot get to you. So let's right click here, then go to blending option. We have series of styles rather that we can apply. So we have bevel kind of turns your work into maybe 3D or so. So you might not see what is happening to this layer because it's actually black color, but when we change it to white, so there's one particular I want to show you first. So any object at all, so far that object is carrying one color, maybe you got it from Google, is carrying one color. You can always tweak it to any color you like. Okay, so that's the color overlay. So once I click on it, it's going to be marked, it's going to be checked. So anything that is checked here means it's actually applied. So EKD, nothing happened. Who told you? Something happened. Change here to white. You see, so we just turned our black to white. Imagine what you can do with this tool. So let's apply this one, bevel. You can see the bevel is applying. So everything you click here, there's a way to manipulate it here. So what I would advise you to do is that get to learn the manipulations. Okay, you can see our nick is looking very sleek. You can see how bevel makes your light to just reflect amazingly on the particular object. So, and the good news is that you can do this on text, on anything, but I don't want to make this our design too busy. I purposefully did not add it to our text, okay? Because I don't want everything to be too busy, but you can add it to any other design, but not this design, please, because it will just make this very rough. Okay, so you can add it, you can increase the size. You can see what we're doing to it right now, increasing the size and everything. You can manipulate, but one thing I would advise you is that you can add stroke. You can see I can add stroke here. So there, I'll just show you because there are different amazing things here. So on a normal day, you'll not be able to add stroke to an object, but if you come here, you can add. You can choose if it's a singular stroke. I'm just showing you the possibilities so that you come back here yourself to get this done. So I'm going to uncheck it. You can add drop shadow. You can see that it's applying a shadow. I can increase the size of the shadow. It looks as if there's a shadow at the background. You can use this later on. So, but I'm just going to apply this. Okay. So I'm going to reduce it here. Let's sign it here. You can see the way we are creating balance. Okay, we have enough white space. So this is the final look. This is the final look, man. This is the final look. So what we can do is that we can group. Maybe we can say this is our okay, we can group both of this. We can say this is our paper. Okay, let's say paper, and that's it, just to make our work neater. So we can call this the shoelace. Ctrl G, you can say this is the lace. Let me see, and that's it. So we can call from here to here bottom section. Okay, I say bottom section. Okay, so it makes our design more neat or neater. Okay, there are some kind of things you can do to your design after you are done. Okay, I can group everything. I can say I'm grouping, but make sure you unlock it before you see. I was locking my text. If you don't unlock it, it will not be included in the group. So I'm grouping this and I'm naming it entire design, right? Entire design. So we have this entire design. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate it. Simple way to duplicate from this angle is to right click, then go to duplicate group, right? So to duplicate the group, so we have another group, we have the copy here. So I'm going to blind or make one invisible. Okay, so we have this here. So we want to add an overall effect on everything. So I'm going to right click on this first one, then convert to smart object, right? So now this is now one design. Remember, I duplicated it because I might want to change something. Don't go and do this, then later your client will tell you change this thing, then you say I've converted it to smart image. Your smart object, your client is not going to understand you. Of course, it's not going to understand you. So you have to make sure you have one that has not been destroyed. That was why I duplicated this. But presently, I made it invisible so that it does not disrupt what I'm doing, right? So we have this here. So what we can do, we can go to filter, camera raw filter, right? Come here again, then we can start adding some effect. Don't mind this part, it's not going to show all this outside, this part outside what we are doing, right? So I increase the clarity. You can see that it's making my work more dramatic, right? I increase it. Then what I can do, I can add more green, right, to make it organic, right? So you can see it's becoming more real, right? So you can see it's become more real. So there's something we can do to this, and I'm just going to add this because I want you to learn it. It's also important. Let's use the pen tool, right? Let's use the pen tool. So we're going to use the pen tool to create something. I want to go create this Nike logo. So what we're going to do is so the pen tool is just like your selection tool. You just click from one point to another. Okay, so I'm going to click from this point to this point, right? Don't at first, you don't have to strive for perfection at first. Okay, so I'm going to click here, right? Let me go again. So at first, you don't have to strive for perfection. So I'm going to click here because it takes some time to master. In fact, this one, sometimes this is like a whole course on its own. You get? So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click here like this. And I'm going to click here, right? Then I'm going to click here, right? Then I'm going to click here. So you have this. It is not perfect, but now you can start making it perfect by using this other tool we call the path selection tool. So there are two tools underneath it, right? So you want to use the first one, path selection, not direct selection, path selection. So I can click this part and I can adjust it, right? No. Sorry for that. Let's use direct selection tool. So I can use it to select the part. I can close this up. So I'm making my work neater, right? I'm making it neater. So I can zoom in, for instance, zoom in to see if I've gotten this point. You can see that this point is a bit circular. We could make it circular. So I can move to my, sorry for that. So I think we can take off one. We can take off this, right? So we can use our selection tool to adjust this point. Or better still, we leave it like this, okay? Since you are just starting out, I can just leave it like that. So make sure that this point is smooth. Make sure it is smooth, right? Right? So make sure it is super smooth. So you can choose to add another point. You can choose to add another point here. So the way I did it just now, just add an anchor point. Well, note that the more anchor points you have, the more it is guaranteed not to be straight or not to flow. Okay, so you have to be careful of the points you have. So I'm not going in depth into pen tool for now, at least for now. So I can add an anchor point here to make here a bit circular, right? So let's look at it if it's so I think we can go with this. So we don't want to really do much. I just wanted you to see the pen tool. So what does the pen tool do? There are some shapes that you might not have, like this Nike shape. Now you do not have it there on Photoshop, right? You do not have it there. So some shapes you have to create them yourself. That's when the pen tool come in, and it will take you some time to really master. You might not get it at first year, but you still have to strive. Okay, so when you get to points you want to let me just try something. When you get to points you want to make a curve, so you click and you drag. Okay, points like this part, you click and you drag. Don't forget. So it will take you some time to really master, but I wanted to just know that that exists. So we're just going to do something fanciful. So what I don't want any fill in this shape. So I click on it. I click on this shape too, so that the fill is going to come outside here. So remember, if it is not clicked, it's not going to show. So I click on it. I make sure my shape is clicked. You see that after drawing the shape, a new layer is formed. So I can say my Nike let me say symbol, right? I can say my Nike symbol, right? So we have this. So what we're going to do is that we're going to remove the fill. So what do I do to remove the fill of any object at all on Photoshop? What do I do to remove the fill? So I click here, go to this fill. Instead of clicking here, I click on this fill direct. I double click. So make sure it's been selected though. So I click here, then I double click here. Okay, sorry, I click here rather. So when I click here, I'll find some options here. So here is to apply a gradient to it. Here is to apply a particular color swatch or recent color you've used. Here is to apply a texture to it. But my main focus is this part. So I can click this cancel. So it means there is no fill presently. So I can change it to, let's use a yellow stroke, right? So I want to change the pattern of stroke. I can use dotted lines, right? So I can increase the size. Let's say this is 5. So you can see what it did to our work. So this is just to provide some kind of stylish. You can see what it did to our. So I just wanted you to know that that existed. So what do we do now? We export it, right? We export it. So something you might want to take a look at, if you add maybe a camera raw filter to your work, like the way we increase the clarity to bring out all this grain and to make our work more dramatic, it will be attached to your to the layer you worked on, you applied it to, right? So it is attached here. So the same thing, I can choose to make that effect invisible. So I've just made it invisible. Remember that layer, this thing we added, I made it invisible. I made it visible. Smart filter, right? So you can see the drastic difference, right? So this made it more dramatic and it felt more better, right? So we have this here. So our design is looking all good. We manage our space well, right? So we have enough free space and all this. So I'm very happy we've gotten to the end of this course, and I believe you've gotten something for yourself, right? And we did something really amazing. And remember, we moved from the tools, we moved from file, image. I did a little let me say sensitization on these different tools, right? So we have all this, and I believe with all this you've learned, you'll be able to start out something. So but for something very important, let us export. So we want to export, we go to file, export, export as. Okay, export as. Remember, export as. And if you've not saved your work, you better save it. Just press your Ctrl S. You better save it. So it's going to tell you to choose a location. So you choose a particular location. I'm going to be choosing okay, let me choose Photoshop. Let me choose assets. So I'm going to choose first design. I'm save it as first design. Remember that this our project file, it's also inside the file we'll be providing you when you enroll. When I'm saying enrolling is free. You should have done that by now, right? So, and just to inform you, we have other courses on this channel, other courses: music production, cinematography, Illustrator, using Adobe Illustrator, using Premiere Pro to edit videos. We have motion graphics course, a lot of courses, and they are all free on this channel. So you have to take notes. You have to take note. So that's it. So I'm going to press file. I've saved now. So I'm for file, export, export as. Get it? Export as. So find our work here. So this is for you to preview. So the most important thing here is to come here. You either want a JPEG or a PNG. PNG really matters when you worked on something that does not have a background. Okay, let me say you worked on only this text and there's no red background. You want that just that transparent background. Okay, you can use PNG. For instance, okay, you can try something out. Just type only a text and go to this export. If you go to PNG, you'll see like a check kind background showing here. You know that there is nothing on the background. That one you can just pick it and use it elsewhere. Okay, I believe if you use that program before, you should understand what I'm saying. Okay, you should understand what I'm saying, right? So we have PNG. So you can change to JPEG, but I'm just going to use JPEG. Okay, so this, you can increase the quality of the JPEG. So I'm going to choose the highest quality, right? So all these parts, you do not need to touch them. Okay, so the next you want to do is to export. So it's going to ask you to save it somewhere. So I'm going to save it the place where we have our assets. So I'm going to save it as first design, right? I'll save it as first design. So it's been saved. It's been saved. It's been saved. It's been saved, right? It's been saved. So I want to do something because PNG is also important. So I'm going to take off this background. I'm going to export. You can see that the check like something is already showing, right? So this means that this is a PNG. This is already in PNG, right? So if we want to export this, we can export it, export as. You can say PNG. If you say JPEG, it will just give it white background naturally. Wow, the white is still kind of cute, right? You see, kind of cute, but it does not have enough contrast, so it's not that cute. So we can use PNG. So when you change to PNG, you find out that, okay, you can see that check like background is showing. So if I export it like this, it means there is no background, right? So let me export it and show you what I mean. PNG, right? So I save it. So I'm going to press Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. Okay, let me import what I just exported. Let me import it. So this was what I exported. Let me import it. You can see that it's not having background, right? So it means I can use it in another file. It means you can create one file, work on one Photoshop file that doesn't have a background, then you can use it in another file. I hope you understand what we just did here. You can see that there is literally no background. We can see through this stuff because we did not apply a background. So take note of that. So that's how to deal with PNG. So we've come to the end of this course. Congratulations to you. You are now a Photoshop user. For those that follow, though, not for those that did not follow. So I want to encourage you that you do not get to be a master at once. I've been using this for years and I'm still learning more. Even now, I can call myself an Adobe community expert, but I'm still learning more. That's just the thing. I'm still learning more. So if you have any question, put it on the comment section. At all, put it on the community. We are going to respond to you on our WhatsApp channel. We are going to respond to you. Why not? So That's it. Don't forget to check out our other course, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We've done a lot of free courses. So the only thing you can do is to subscribe and share this video to as many, share this course to as many that have been finding Photoshop very difficult. This will be their prayers answered. Yeah. Okay, so let us move on. So see you next time. I remain EKD. I'm signing out.
So that's it for our graphics design course, and I hope you enjoyed it. I trust that you enjoyed it. I mean, the way things were broken down, and I guess you liked our final project. It was amazing. It was all spontaneous, getting things to work out, getting colors to match, and I believe by now you should be able to do a design for yourself, or for maybe for a client. Okay, so, and what I would advise you to do after getting through all this is to create a portfolio. Okay, you can start out with Instagram. You don't need to create a custom domain for now. Okay, just start out with Instagram, create designs, try yourself out. Even if it's not for a client, you could try out things, just work on things, replicate things, and just put them on your Instagram. And I tell you, with time, you're going to get better at this thing. Okay, so I want to see your designs. Make sure you post them on the community. And before I forget, we have other amazing courses on this channel, and they are for free. So you want to grab this opportunity and learn several things, okay, for free. Okay, this is coming to you for free. So take advantage of that. So we have other amazing courses on cinematography, video editing, 3D animation, lighting courses, cinematography, and then we even have courses on Illustrator. Okay, and I believe from here you should be going over to learning Illustrator, because that would still enhance your graphics design skill. Okay, so finally, I'm going to give you an assignment. I want you to do an ad just like we did for Nike. You are going to make another ad for the latest iPhone. Choose any of the recent iPhone of your choice, pick a very quality image, then do an ad for them. Okay, the ad should contain all the features of recent iPhone, like the camera, quality camera, like the fast processor, and the rest of the quality, the battery life, and things like that. So just make an ad, just post it on the WhatsApp group, and I am going to grade you according to what you've done. Okay, so that's all for now. So see you probably next time. Okay, so bye for now. I remain EKD. If you have any question, any difficulty at all while you're going through this course, just put it right on the comment section. So see you when I see you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this amazing course to other persons so they can also take advantage of it. Okay, so see you when I see you. Bye.
Enjoy all these premium courses in this channel for free.